to Out on Topic. Good evening, Brad.
Good evening, Andrew. What's new with you in the world? We last spoke, I think, on Thanksgiving Day, did we not?
Oh yeah, it's been that long.
So, how was your
It was
Thanksgiving?
good, delicious,
Excellent, delicious turkey fixins. Excellent. Same here. Lots of leftovers and lots of pumpkin pie. Makes me a happy.
Yeah, Stephanie made her own pumpkin pie. It was really good.
Yeah, we have to have our own pumpkin pie made here because I need the special boy gluten-free crust. So we did that. So I did want to make a programming note here at the beginning of the show. I want to apologize in advance for dog noises because I am currently home with nobody else in the house to watch the dogs, and we got a new puppy Thanksgiving week. So we currently have 3 dogs, one of which is 11 weeks old. So if there are puppy noises, there's nothing I can do about it, because if I close the door, there's guaranteed to be scratching and clawing noises because there's a puppy outside the door. So they will be little barks, growls from the 2 14-year-old grumpy old man dogs, and clanging of claws in the hardwood floor around me, I'm sure, all episodes. So there we go. Just a quick programming note. I will say, keeping it car related, you obviously have a dog we've talked about before whose name is Enzo. I didn't want to obviously rip off the dog's name and have another dog named Enzo. It's a common dog name and a Ferrari name, but I did want to keep it car related.
Well, I have a cat too, and I took the other good name for that.
Yeah, you did. Your cat Zora. So anyway, so we have 2 dogs obviously already that are Ollie and Mojo. And this new dog, I wanted to give her a name that sounded like a dog name, but also could be car related, but was like subtle enough that like normal people wouldn't figure it out. So I made an error and I named her something that I have been mispronouncing my entire life. But we all liked it too much, so we're just going to continue to mispronounce it.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. So, do you know what the Mitsubishi engine family is for the 4G63?
Yeah, Cirrus.
Nope, Sirius.
Sirius?
Yep.
Sirius XM?
But I, like you, have called it Cirrus forever, which, as you know, is one of the cloud cars from Chrysler in the 90s.
With a C, though.
Which was Cirrus. Yep, like a cloud. So we named her Sirius, but we're just going to continue to pronounce it wrong her entire life. So it's going to be pronounced Cirrus, even though it's spelled Sirius. So that makes it the engine family for the 4G63. But also, in constellations, it is the dog star, which is why the Sirius XM logo is a dog.
Oh, I thought that was a play on RCA.
The RCA dog. Yeah. Nope, it's because the dog star, which is part of the Orion's belt, I think, is called Sirius. So her name is spelled Sirius, but since I've been mispronouncing the engine family wrong my entire life, we're just going to continue to do that. And the only people it will confuse are people who will see her name spelled out, which isn't very many people. So if you meet my dog, her name is Cirrus.
Huh.
So, yes. So it's been new puppy times, and I hear her clawing away at our carpet, and there's a big hole in the carpet behind me now. So that's nice.
I called it XM.
No, because I'm not trying to relate it to the radio. I was trying to relate it to the engine family of the 4G63. The other option was Astron, which is the G54B, but it sounds a little less feminine, I guess. So we went with Cirrus. But anyway, we'll have to do an update at some point, dog pet post on Instagram, just so people can see these dogs and cat we're talking about. So,
man, remember when satellite radio was a thing?
I do. I remember having the antenna in every car, like routed through the headliner and then like popping out at the trunk usually. Yeah, that was definitely a thing.
It certainly was. And then like I reserved a rental car for a work trip the other day, and one of the options is still to like add Cirrus to it. You're like, yeah,
rental car?
like, really?
Huh. Yeah, if a car has Bluetooth connectivity, then I'm certainly not going to pay
Nope.
extra for
Or
Sirius.
navigation.
Yep,
So you can give
absolutely
me a
not.
thing to stick on the dash.
That was like a 2-year window where they could upcharge for that
Yeah.
stuff. And it's
Still
definitely
hanging on
definitely gone
there. I
away
don't
now.
know. Maybe they get old people with
Maybe my
it.
car does, being a 13, it does have the Sirius ready package on it, and I have the sample channel all the time. But I never
I
use it. My car actually for 2013 it has a lot of audio options because it has Sirius XM, it has obviously AM, FM, and Bluetooth, and it has a CD player, and it also has an SD card slot.
Does it have aux and doesn't
So
have
it does have an aux port as well as in a console. Yep.
USB?
It does not have USB, but it does have the old school iPhone, like the really
Oh, the
wide connector.
proprietary one that they were like, yeah, we're all in on this. And like that was
Yep.
a Volkswagen Audi thing, I think, specifically for like 10 years. They signed some like deal.
Yep. So it does have that connector, but it may have a USB. I've never used it because it has Bluetooth that works just fine. So I'm not sure if it has USB as well, but it has like every option that was available in
Yeah, it was a
2013.
weird
It was like current.
crossover time.
Yeah.
And then the
I'm scolding the dog. Sorry.
um man, you really threw me off there. Oh yeah, so I rented another Mirage, and I didn't because I didn't.
Oh, when you were in California?
Yeah, I didn't get a
Oh,
Mirage in California. I did the Mirage were similar. You might as well do the cheapest car because usually I don't end up with the cheapest car.
because they never
Yeah,
have them.
so they usually just give you whatever they want. So you might as well just pick the thing that's the cheapest. And it's literally like it's
Yep.
so silly because it's like $52 a day or something, and then the next one up is like 53. You're like, okay, I'll just take the cheap thing, and then whatever
Yeah.
you
Why
give
not?
me is what I get.
Yeah. Yeah. That way, if you have a cheap car, it's fine. You're expecting it. And if they don't have the cheap car there, then you'll wind
I
up
don't
with a
think I
better
talked
car.
about that. I had an Outlander Sport.
Yeah. You're staying on brand, of course. You can't rent something not a Mitsubishi. You need to make sure that
Well, I
we don't
wanted to
disappoint
try
our
one, and it was
listeners.
only like it was like that, some Nissan crossovers, uh, some GM crossovers, or a Frontier pickup, and not the new one, like the last
Right.
2020 Frontier pickup. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I want when gas is $4.50 a gallon in California to drive around a pickup truck.
Yeah. That would not have been wise. That would not have been wise. You definitely chose wisely by getting a more fuel efficient vehicle. Actually, last time I was in California on a trip where I had to rent a vehicle, before I either lived in the West Coast or knew people who lived in the West Coast to use vehicles. Um, I was bought up in a Galant. So that tells you A, how long ago it was,
Mm,
and B, that we're always on brand, even in rental cars. So also, it was terrible.
yeah, they're pretty bad
So
cars.
last generation Galants were pretty
The
terrible.
it was
So
funny.
it's dark time in Mitsubishi
I
history.
I meant to. I'll have to post this to Instagram. I noticed I had the hatch open and it had these little rubber bumpers on the side of the hatch, and I gotta I gotta go look at the Talon, but I swear they're the same exact rubber bumpers.
The ones that look like little like teeth
Yep,
marks almost. Hmm.
I am convinced
I
they're
wouldn't
the
be
same
surprised. I
part.
mean, if they work, they work. And if they're the same, I could buy them to replace the ones in my Eclipse because mine are worn out and they
It's
rub
probably the
and they
same
make
part number.
noise.
And then
So
I'm convinced too that the little caps for where the crossbars are the same crossbar
okay,
caps that are on the Galant. They look they look like almost the same.
yeah, they're like flat
Yeah,
rectangles, right?
I just thought that'd be
Yeah,
really funny.
possibly.
It's the same. Recycle these parts for
That'd be
30
really interesting
years.
because Galant people are always looking for those caps. So if they wind up being the same as the currently available ones, you just struck gold. Probably you should strike that from the record. You should go buy them all
Yeah.
up and resell them to the Galant community.
I
But,
Oh, speaking of that, Gallant's the uh one of the guys, his username's Ludicrous. He runs DSM tuners. He took over
okay,
GallantVR4.org. And do you remember what it looked
okay,
like? It was just an old forum website.
sure,
Totally
I know what it is.
revamped
Yeah,
it.
they call it the
Yeah.
org.
looks way nicer now. It's more of a modern looking form now. Added like
Is it active?
it was still pretty active, but it
Okay.
had kind of fallen into disrepair. And he's been posting on the Facebook group like, "Hey, I fixed it up. Like, let's go back to that because it's better."
Like, let's get off of Facebook because Facebook's a dying platform now.
Yeah, everybody jumped, and now it's so.
Yeah, which we all knew was going to
Yeah.
happen, but we were all short sighted anyway. It was the convenience and the fact that everybody was there is why everybody jumped.
Mm-hmm. So,
but now it's dying, and maybe we got to bring forums back, and to quote Brian Driggs, take back the
yeah.
forum.
So, if you're
So
on GalaVR4.org, which is only probably a few listeners, it looks really good.
sweet. That's an interesting website to try to run and bring back because at the peak of Galant VR4 lifetime, you couldn't have had more than 3,500
Yeah, right? Isn't that crazy?
members. Yeah. Like, you're trying to build this giant forum for the maximum amount of US Galant VR4s was 3,500
Cars
cars.
still exist though, and we're still trying to keep them running. And
They do. There's it's from 3,500 owners, it's down to probably about 300. But
and
if we're all on there, then that's good, right?
as far like I bet registered and driving cars, I bet it's less than 100.
Right. Probably. I know I'm part of the 200 in that number difference. So, which, man, yeah, maybe that's what I should do. We talked a little bit off air about my other car that I'm preparing to spend a bunch of money on, but maybe I should just pay somebody to do that. Probably costs about the same, right?
Yeah, it's probably a little further away than I think you think it is, but
Well, no, I don't mean timing wise.
yeah,
I just mean dollar figure wise. I know it wouldn't be done by New Year's. I'm just saying, as far as the dollar figure per dollar figure, I'd probably be better off spending the money there.
yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I'm so lost on that car. It just makes me sad every time I think about it.
Well, it's just not
But,
handy to get to, which is annoying.
and when it was handy, I wasn't in a good headspace to do it. So there was some dark times where I didn't work on cars very much, but just trying to get there. One step at a time. Just need to concentrate on one. But we're way off topic already. We haven't even started talking about the topic. This episode started with pet talk, and
Yeah,
now
that's what we
broken
do.
car
Hey,
talk, and it's pretty
I
on
did
brand.
get some OEM crossbars for the Volkswagen. It's kind of a silly thing,
Wow.
but
They were Thule style,
they're definitely made by Thule, like 100%
so they just reboxed in a Volkswagen
with a
box.
Volkswagen lithograph on them. But
Oh, fancy.
they were like $100 to like $200 cheaper than anything from Thule direct.
That seems odd.
They probably bought them in bulk.
Yeah.
Or maybe the Thule website I'm looking at stuff's more expensive right now. I don't know. And these were already existed. Like I bought them from I went on eBay. Like I found the partner, I went on eBay, looked it up. It was like a Volkswagen dealer out of Hanover, Mass. So whatever dealer that is has an eBay account, sell parts. So I bought them from them, and they came in like 2 days.
It's
Yeah.
pretty awesome. I'm a little upset they had to one up
Why?
me though. Because I went with the Stay There.
Oh, the best of Walmart
bars. No, the best of
Oh.
Amazon. They were actually $40 cheaper than the best of Walmart ones.
There was an Amazon brand that was like $100. I was like, I don't know.
$100. Ooh, mine were like 30.
I think they were Aero bars, $100 Aero bars. So
okay, yeah, these were the branding is called Stay There.
Stay there, stay
there, like stay. Yep.
So
Stay
the dog's
there.
looking at you.
Yeah, no, they're all sleeping right now, so it's fine. They dug a hole in the carpet, so now they're just sleeping. I missed that because I was turning the wrong way. Anyway, puppy life. Yeah, no, my brands were called Stay There, and I recommended them to a few people after I used them because I dragged like every article of clothing I owned across country on top of my roof with a combination of a pair of $39.95 Stay There bars, a used Thule basket, and a $40 waterproof Walmart outdoor
which
luggage
I
bag.
appreciate that the basket's out of my yard.
Yes, it's long gone from your yard.
Yeah.
So it was like less than $100 worth of stuff to bring all of my worldly possessions across country.
our buddy Joe bought that basket, had it on his Outback Sport.
He had it on like a 90. He's going to yell at us when we get the year
It's like a
wrong, but
97.
it was like a
Yeah.
97
Or was it 2000?
Impreza out.
I think it was
Oh,
a
maybe.
2000.
Yeah, I think it was
2000 Outback
2000.
Sport.
Impreza Outback Sport. Yeah, it was that body style, the small ones, the good ones.
Then he had it on his
So
Forester. And then he was going to throw it out.
it's been
And I was
around.
like, no, I'll take it. And I threw it in the Montero, but I didn't use it. And it was just sitting in my backyard. And I was like, this is stupid. Why do I have it?
Well, now it's hidden behind my shed. So we've used it a few times actually, even here to transport stuff around. So when we moved from our apartment to our house, we actually put it to good use again, like for like 7 trips back and forth. So
That's why I figured I'd
it's
buy these
definitely
crossbars because we were going to go get our Christmas tree. I didn't want to put it inside the car
yep,
because I hate pine needles. Trying to clean them up.
right.
Um, Plus, it's like hard to put a tree inside the car when you have a car seat in the back.
Child.
Um,
Yeah.
and then I've already got all the accessories from having other cars with roof racks. Like if I want to go skiing, I already have the ski attachments. If I want to go biking again, which I really need to do when it's warmer out, I can throw a bike
Yep.
rack on the car instead of putting it in the car.
Yep. All
Yeah,
positive things.
so I was like, grab them.
So I actually have a trivia question for you, Andrew, because I don't have any. Oh, I do have car updates. What do you want to do first? Let's carry out the
Sure.
car updates. Sapporo's
All
back on
right.
the road. So I think last episode we were hoping I didn't blow it up.
Yes, very much.
So I didn't blow it up.
Good.
I didn't try to start it again before I pulled all the plugs out. I cranked it over a few times just to eject any more coolant that was on top of the cylinders. Then I did a compression test on all 4 cylinders, and they were all within 1 pound of each other, about 123, 124 psi, which seems perfect. Like that's very healthy, actually. I was very happy with those numbers, but it means that I didn't bend any valves, so that's good. And then I said, well, before I slam this thing back together, I slammed it back together, put new plugs, new wires, cap, rotor, all that stuff, because I got all the ignition apart. I may as well go all new, right? It's like $40 in parts. It's not expensive. I was like, all right, well, before I try to start this, I should check the oil just to make sure it's not full of coolant. I had that big mishap with the coolant in the intake manifold. I didn't need another coolant related mishap. Boy, am I glad I did. Because all of that coolant was in the oil pan.
Oh, weird.
So anything that didn't burn off in the combustion chambers was in the oil pan. It was milkshake and a half. I think I sent you a picture of the oil filter, and it looked like I had a bad head gasket. I pulled a dipstick out, and it looked like it was 2 or 3 quarts over full. So that was all of that coolant that went down in there. So I'm glad I changed that before I started it again, because if I started driving around with a crankcase full of coolant, I probably would white out the bearings. So it was definitely a worth it extra, 10 minutes of work to change the oil in the car before I drove it. So I've since put a tank and a half of gas through it. It's running back to its typical mediocre self. I don't want to say it's running good because it never really has run great. The carburetor on the car is just questionable at its best. So it runs the way it ran before, which is good enough to get it across country, right? So it runs. I'm happy. Put some miles on it. No issues. Got a little oil leak I got to find, but it's nothing major. It probably leaks the least oil out of all my cars. So all is well in Sapporo land. So crisis averted, Andrew.
Good.
Yeah, that's the only project I've worked on though. So I don't have any other project cars to talk about. Just that guy. So I have a trivia
All right.
question for you. McLaren's.
Okay.
I went to a Cars and Coffee this weekend, and a whole group of McLaren owners showed up. I'm not going to talk poorly about McLaren owners, I guess, but they're not desirable to have at your Cars and Coffee. Um, I won't say anything more than that because it was very inappropriate things that they were talking about. Um, a whole group of 675 LTs came in, which I guess is kind of a fancy one,
What's a group?
and a 7.
Whoa,
Yeah, yeah.
that sounds expensive.
Um, they are expensive, yes, and the people that drive them were. Oh, it was anyway. It's not for an on air discussion. We'll
Well, I
talk about it
mean,
later.
was it like designer
It
jeans
was
that were ripped?
wildly. Oh yeah, it was. There was the look was the look. The designer jeans, the giant
Pilates?
watch that they tuck their shirt underneath the watch so that you can constantly see their giant watch.
Oh,
Obviously,
button
yeah.
down
And there's
shirt, so
the
big
was
collar.
there was a group of them that were probably in their 50s or 60s that were inside the coffee shop when I was, and they were talking about their conquests in a public setting, and not Chrysler conquests. Their very young female conquests. It was an interesting conversation to have in public, put it that way. Of legal age, but barely. I was just like, what the hell, guys? Like, why are we having this conversation? Why are we being braggadocious about this in public? But anyway, um, regardless of the owners, the cars are really neat. Do you know what engine powers those? Do you know anything about it?
I never even heard of them until you just said the name.
Well, it's the 650S, 675 LT, MP412C. It's all the base engine. It's all the same.
Sure. The
Okay,
only
so
McLaren
it's
I
a
currently
V8.
know of is the Speedtail.
So that's the
It's like the
newest.
super fast, like straight line fast one.
What is that? A 600 LT maybe,
It's one
or
where you sit in the middle of the car. It's got the
yeah, I don't know what that one's called.
I know it's on Top
I know the car
Gear.
you're talking
It's really
about.
fast.
So anyway, this engine is in the MP412C, which was the first one that came out a few years ago. The 650S, the 675 LT, the P1, the P1 GTR, the 540, the 570, the 600 LT, all those cars. So, and then the number I learned means the horsepower. So like a 675 LT is 675 horsepower. The 650 is 650 horsepower. So anyway, these were a bunch of 675 LTs. These all have the same base engine. It's a V8. Do you know what powered the? So you have no idea what the V8 comes from because you didn't know the car at all. This isn't very good trivia.
No,
Apparently, you
I
don't
don't even
have
know. I can't even picture what the car is. I don't even know what the car is.
your base knowledge is way lower than I thought it was on McLarens.
I don't look at supercars ever.
Yeah, they're out here. They're like Corollas. They're everywhere.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I'm sure there's a couple that have been at Cars and Coffees I've been at. I just literally we we don't ever look at them because they're just
well, so the trivia part of this question, I'll
all
answer
right.
anyway. I always
Sorry,
assumed that they were related to the F1 stuff, like the McLaren F1. You know what powers that
it's
car?
a BMW V12.
Correct.
See, it's
So
a
I always just
'90s
assumed
supercar that I obsessed over as a kid, so I know what.
correct. So because I had the same, I always assumed that these modern
Used
McLarens
BMWs.
were powered by BMW engines. They're
Well,
not.
who does McLaren partner with for F1 engines?
I don't know. I didn't even think about that. I'm not sure. I don't think it's related to
Yeah,
this
because I thought it was like
because this is an
McLaren Honda. See, I don't know anything about Formula One either.
so these are 90-degree flat plane V8s with twin turbos.
That sounds cool.
So to bring it back to an auto off
It's a
topic
Ford.
conversation, they are two Mitsubishi turbos,
That's
but
not
which
uncommon.
is fine. But the engine itself is a Nissan V8 that was first developed in 1987 for the R88C Group C car.
Oh, so very specific V8.
But the fact that these McLaren supercars are being built in 2021 with the architecture of an engine that was designed by Nissan for the R88C in 1988 blew my mind.
Yeah, but it was probably like a super advanced racing engine.
Oh, 100% it was, and it's been
I
modified
think
since
that
then,
engine
but it just
ended up
was
in a Z car. There's a V8 Z car with that I think they used it for racing.
Maybe a
Yeah,
race
yeah.
car. Yeah, maybe. I was looking at the race cars that it went in. You know, the R390
Mm-hmm.
GT1, like the Gran Turismo car. It was in that car. It was in the R90C, which was a GTA Le Mans car. It was in the GTR that ran in the Super GT 500 racing.
Hmm.
So it was in a bunch of Nissan race cars over the
Weird.
years. But the base engine, McLaren bought the rights for it and sent it out and in conjunction, excuse me, with TWR, Tom Walkinshaw Racing,
Ah.
because they developed it originally for Nissan, made it viable for use in 2020s as a street car, and it's just super cool. I had no idea. Like, it seems strange to me that this multi-$100,000 supercar has this 1988 Nissan race car engine in it. Super cool. I love it, but I don't love the owners. I never really looked at the cars because, again, they're modern supercars. They don't do much for me, but it's 8,500 RPM Redline V8 with 80% of the torque available at 2,000 RPM.
Wow.
Right? That's super cool.
Wow.
So my dumb brain is like, we need to get a wrecked McLaren and put this in like a 69 Camaro.
Yeah.
But it's
VRH
still a V8.
335Z.
Yep.
Huh.
Which McLaren calls now the M838T. 3.8 liter, 90 degree twin turbocharged flat plane V8.
Wow.
So, yeah, I'm more interested in these cars than I was before. They cost as much as my house, so I'll never be buying one. But it's definitely an interesting piece of engineering. And now that I like know more about these, and I'm definitely more into them, maybe I'll add like a diecast McLaren to my collection. You know, just because it's pretty cool. And they're definitely more of like a they're the lower end of the supercar prices, so you see a lot more of them out here. They're almost like the I say they're out here like Corollas, but they're almost like the Corolla of supercars out here. Like they're just you go out, you buy your first supercar, you either buy like a base model 911 or one of these. Those seem to be the two like, hey, I made it cars out here. The particular group that was driving these particular McLarens was absolutely disgusting bits of humanity, but they have nice cars. So it was refreshing to have the group of cars be a bunch of McLarens versus a bunch of Challengers, I guess. But it's an interesting crowd for sure. I should have guessed based on the location of the Cars and Coffee what the crowd was going to be, but what do I know? It was a good time. Anyway, so that's my trivia that didn't wind up being trivia, wound up being interesting facts. So
Yeah, I just didn't know enough about the new ones, but that's really weird.
yeah, I was very surprised. I was very surprised because some of those Nissan GTP cars were some of my favorite race cars back in that era. Like the R90C is such a cool race car. All the red, white, and blue livery in all those
Mm-hmm.
cars, so neat. And that was one of my favorite sounding race cars when I saw them at Road Atlanta at the Walter Mitty.
Hmm.
Super, super cool stuff. But anyway, moving on from fun facts about McLarens.
Yeah, speaking of
Got a subject to talk about tonight?
well, no, I was just gonna there's announced or kind of made the rounds in the last couple days. Be a Russian SUV coming over here.
Good.
What? Yeah.
Good. I'm into it.
The Bremak, bro.
Bremak.
Bremak.
I must get a Bremak. I'm going to start saving my rubles
Yeah.
so I can buy a Bremak.
The Bremak.
I'm not going to need too many rubles, I don't think.
It's kind of weird. It's so it's so it looks like it's straight out of the 90s. Like if see if you crossed a Montero Sport with a Lexus LX and a Chrysler minivan grill.
Okay. I'm not into the minivan portion of this discussion, but I get it.
Yeah, what else? That's what
Um,
that grill reminds me of, the new Chrysler minivan grill. What
yeah, I
else would it look
guess.
like then? Maybe a Genesis?
I see a. Yeah, I was gonna say I see a bit of Hyundai in it.
Yeah.
Um, But I dig it because it's what this country needs. This country doesn't necessarily need a Russian SUV, but we need an affordable body on frame SUV. And the most exciting thing about this is supposedly it's supposed to come out with like not very many options as far as packages you
bro,
add to it.
bro,
They'll
it's
have
fully loaded,
options.
bro.
Right, exactly. This year's model fully loaded.
It's got
It's supposed to
Chevy
have.
guts.
It does technically, actually. I'm not quite sure where the engine comes from, but I know that the mechanicals of the driveline are supposed to be shared from a Colorado, which means parts shouldn't be terrible to get. Um, but it's gonna start 26 grand.
They're going to be built in California, apparently.
Built in California, $26,000, 10-year, 100,000 mile warranty.
Eaton rear axle. Oh, all right.
Yeah, a bunch of American
You get a manual
components.
transmission. It's got
Yep,
live axles, front and rear.
yep. They're saying 18 miles a gallon on the highway, which is fine for a full size body on frame SUV. It's actually not
That's
even
what
bad.
people get in Jeeps.
Yeah, yeah. So I kind of dig it. The front end is kind of ugly, but they've also teased pictures of it with like what do you call those front bumpers? There's a name, the brand name.
ARB.
Anyway, like ARB style front bumper that they're going to offer, and it completely transforms the entire look of the vehicle. It makes it look kind of like a. I mean, honestly, it looks like almost a first gen Montero, which maybe is why I'm so into it.
Well, then the warranty. You have a 10-year powertrain warranty.
Yeah, yeah, it's a 5-year bumper to bumper warranty and a 10-year powertrain warranty. Like, it's going to have heated leather in all 4 seats, heated leather steering wheel. Like, I mean, Russian cars don't have the best reputation. And has there ever been officially a Russian car sold in the States?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think there
No.
has.
Yugo
So
was
this is a
not.
Bremak. That's Yugoslavian. That's why it's called a Yugo. So these are built under license, I guess, from UAZ, but they got to be called a Bremak. And like you said, made in California. So it's a 120,000 mile drivetrain warranty.
Yeah.
They've already received 38,000 deposits for a new one. There's going to be a pickup truck version down the line. I mean, mechanically, like I said, it's all going to be, as far as the drive line, it's the Eaton rear axle and the Chevy Colorado transfer case and transmission, which I'm assuming maybe an Eaton product as well, but not sure. 5-speed manual and a 2.7 liter 4-cylinder, like 150 horsepower. So it's not going to be fast, but it's going to be neat.
As long as there's no weird issues with it, probably be a pretty good truck.
I tell you what, 26 grand, I might buy one. So
how bad can
we'll
it
see.
be?
We've said it many times over. There really aren't any bad cars anymore, but we've never experienced anything Russian. So
yeah, I don't know. I mean, the 4-cylinder doesn't. I mean, it sounds glacially slow with a 4-cylinder.
Well, it's 154 horsepower and 173 pound-feet of torque, which is probably pretty equivalent to your 2000 Montero.
That's got 200 horsepower there. Yeah.
Does it really?
It's got more torque.
And that's pretty.
It's like 250.
That's pretty slow. Well, 150 horsepower is like 40 more horsepower than my Raider had. So it's probably a similar weight.
I don't even know how they're going to federalize this thing. It's crazy, but somehow.
I don't know.
They're getting around stuff.
It doesn't seem like it's going to be. Doesn't seem like an issue. They're teasing that the only big option is going to be in the future. There's going to be a V8 version as well.
I mean, it's got all the required. It's got
which if they do
required backup camera.
Yep, airbags, backup camera, crumple zones. It's got all the stuff it needs to be sold here. So I don't hate it, and they show the kitted up versions with, like I said, the bumpers and the racks and the flares, and I'm pretty much 100% on board.
Yeah, weird.
I'm just curious where they're going to be selling these, because it says that they're going to sell through a dealer and not direct to consumer. So I'm not sure how they're going to build a dealer network by the proposed 2022 release date.
I don't know. I like your idea though that
I don't think
Mitsu
2020.
dealers should pick them up as the car
Yeah,
line because it's not like they have anything
absolutely.
they'll compete against really.
Yeah, they don't sell a body on frame SUV, and they certainly don't sell a $26,000
Yeah, these aren't going to be
SUV.
sold at a Chevy or Jeep dealer. So what?
Oh, no way. I'm into it. It needs to be some specialty dealer, like maybe a Mazda dealer would pick them up, or I think Mitsubishi makes the most sense because it's basically a new Montero.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's full solid axle front and rear,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's a leaf spring rear, like it's so old school.
But then you're looking at this and you're like, why don't they bring over the Mitsubishi Triton?
Yeah, again, that's probably chicken tax
Hmm.
issues. That's why they're building this year. So I mean, it's got drag link front suspension. Like it's such a simple
Oh,
vehicle.
wait till the rollover investigations.
It's fine. I drove a Raider.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it. It's a Power Glide 6L50 automatic, which is GM. Oh, interesting. When cruising along at a constant speed of 55 miles an hour, the Bramach, equipped with an automatic transmission, consumes 0.5 gallons less fuel than one with a manual gearbox. 0.5 miles per gallon less? That's significant.
All right. 7-inch touchscreen, front rear. Yeah. Heated seats, 18-inch wheels, multifunction steering wheel, MP3 USB, 4 speakers.
Four whole
Yeah. Heated
speakers?
front windshield and side mirrors. Air
Come
conditioning,
on
cool
now.
glove box. LTE Wi-Fi modem, remote
What?
ignition.
You said LTE Wi-Fi
Yeah.
modem? Just sneak that in there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's got
Oh, it
cellular.
actually does have
Yeah.
what in
Yeah.
Wi-Fi? Okay, all right. I thought you were
No.
kidding.
Man, there's a lot of stuff in this for the price. Man, if they can release it for this price, that is impressive.
Yeah, I'm into it. Yeah, they have an orange color, a green color, and
Or
a brown
custom
color that I'm
when
totally
you
into.
pre-order.
I can paint any color I want.
It has the thing to select custom color. Paint the
Huh.
sample. Brumac. Paint the sample.
All right. I'm in. My biggest curiosity is what is the engine?
Yeah, right?
What is it based on? According to the spec sheet, it's a ZMZ Pro 4-stroke gasoline, which I'm assuming is just the
I
Russian
don't know what that is.
one. But I'm sure that Russian cars have emissions to meet now, right?
Who knows?
So it must be able to meet their standards that are,
Yeah, but does it meet California?
well, it's being built there, so it must.
Not necessarily to be
So
sold there.
the ZMC. Okay, ready? I'm on the Wikipedia page about the
Mm-hmm.
ZMZ. It's the Zavozai Motorny Zavod engine factory. It was started in 1970. This engine goes back to 1970.
Mm.
145 horsepower. Yep. So it's the one that currently comes in the UAZ Patriot, which is the vehicle this is based on. So interesting. So it's not going to be its first year of production either, because they already sell these since 2005, which is probably why the styling is what it is in Russia. So
Ground clearance is kind of
in
weak.
2005, yeah, it's
8.2
fine.
inches.
Just needs bigger tires. Tires. Yep. They stopped making them in 2012. And now they're going to make them again without any changes.
Oh, weird.
Here in the United States. Yes. But they have a pickup truck version they had there. They have the SUV, and they have a cargo version, which has fold-down bedsides. So I'm into it. I don't. I've never made any bones about liking terrible cars, so I'm sure this is going to be a terrible car. But it's a cheap, terrible car with a warranty, so how bad could it be, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, it would be 100% on brand for me to go out and buy the first Russian car sold in the United
yeah.
States. We had on at work at Auto Hunter auctions, we had a Lada go through last week.
Did it get a lot of
Um,
money?
if I had a dollar for every time a Lada joke was made in the office over the past 3 weeks as we've been dealing with this car, I would probably be able to take a week off. It did not get a lot of money, no.
Was I the first one to do a
The,
lot of money joke?
were you
Yeah.
the first one?
Damn.
No. It was constant. Didn't get a lot of bids. It got got a lot of watchers all week long.
Oh, that
All
was
week long.
worth
There are
it.
many other ones too that I can't even think of. Anyway, it didn't sell, and it just so happens that our HR manager slash office manager is a Russian immigrant. And when she saw it come across the site, her immediate reaction was, "Is that in the United States?" And we were like, "Yeah." She goes, "Why would anybody bring that to the United States?" I was like, "Well, it's a really nice one." She's like, "There's no such thing as a really nice one." She goes, "All the jokes in Russia are about how you're not going to make it to where you're going because you own a Lada." I was like, "Oh well, it's for sale on our website." She's like, "I don't
Well,
understand."
you tell her a bunch
Now
of
she's a
weird
Russian.
people here like them because you can't have them normally.
Well, here's the thing: she's a Russian immigrant who's from Russia, and do you know what her two vehicles are?
Like probably the
Picture
most American thing possible, right?
this is a 45. I'm going to guess her age, mid 40s, Russian immigrant, mother, has one kid, I think, married, has
I
two
think you told me
cars.
it's like a Mustang or like a Camaro or something.
Even more American.
What's more American than that?
A Viper
Oh,
GTS coupe. Yeah, she's got a
not
Dodge Ram crew cab.
not like a great car quality wise, like a cool car.
Well, I mean, listen, she's used to Ladas. It's fine. It's got to be better than a Lada, right? Yeah. So she's got a crew cab Dodge Ram and a GTS coupe. So I can understand her not being into Ladas. They're a little. Me being into Dodge Colts means that I probably by proxy I'm also into Ladas. And if it was a no reserve auction for the price that it bid to, I may have bought it just because.
There was one at the
Um,
Greenwich Concourse,
okay.
and it was in Radwood, not Lemons. It was
Okay.
in a soft top.
Oh, is it a lot of Niva?
Yeah.
So the little SUV one?
Yep. Lifted
So those are cool, actually.
soft top. Um, Guy had to put a newer aluminum radiator in it, like a custom one, because it was overheating. He was talking
Okay.
about, and now he's like, it's a bummer because now the crank start is like blocked off. They had a crank start.
I like it. Now, this was a lot of sedan, which actually
Was it a lot of
is
sedan or a little
based.
sedan?
It was definitely a little sedan, which is based on a Fiat 126, I think.
Oh yeah. They were like copies.
Yeah, they were licensed copies. It bid to $5,650. To which, of course, the Russian employee said that should have bought 6 of them, but they did not want to let it go. They had like a $7,000 reserve, I think. So I'll send you a link to it, but it was definitely neat, and it was like the nicest one in existence. So it made it okay.
Weird. A
I just
museum
realized I'm probably gonna
piece.
make a computer ding.
A
What's
museum
that?
piece, Lana.
It is, and well, the owner of it was very Russian. Like when we're talking to him on the phone, you could barely understand what he was saying. So the car is still available in Seattle. If you're so inclined, you can see it at sovietcar.com. where he has quite a few Ladas for sale. A couple of Nivas, a couple of 2106s. Maybe there was a Volga. But anyway, I like it. I think it's a cool looking little car. And, I used to read, remember Retro Cars magazine?
Yeah.
Every now and again, there'd be a lowered one on widened Steelies. And it made a cool looking little hot rod. So, anyway. Yep, $5,600. Couldn't have been yours for that, unfortunately. But anyway.
Well, I think we're all out of time.
I think we are. Wrap it up. That was a wild ride of an episode, Andrew. We kind of went all over the place today.
We did.
With Thanksgiving week, we didn't have much time to prepare, and there's been so much going on. And we actually, on top of the puppy, had another grandbaby 2 days ago. So we've been doing that and taking care of the 2.5-year-old, which you take care of your child every day too. So it's been a lot of other stuff going on that we haven't had much time to prepare.
That's fun, isn't it?
I think top effort, Andrew. We did well. Where can they find the podcast?
Well, as always, you can find us on Facebook, Out Off Topic Podcast, Out Off Topic on Instagram. Find me, Race and Anger on Instagram. And Brad, where can they find you?
They can find me on Instagram at TSISS350.
All right, cool. Keep cars analog and aim for the road.